Okay, let's dive right into it. Welcome everyone to a very special explainer. Today, get ready to snuggle in because we are opening up the glowing pages of the ultimate despicable storybook. We're going to chart the incredible 14-year journey of the world's most famous grumpy supervillain and, of course, his mischievous, banana-loving yellow friends. So whether you're a parent wanting to share the absolute magic of these movies with your child, or maybe you're a young fan ready to relive the adventure all over again, get ready. We're going to explore the entire Despicable Me universe.
But before we even meet the mastermind himself, we have to ask, who exactly are those little yellow guys in the blue overalls? I mean, you've seen them literally everywhere, right? On backpacks, in toy stores, and definitely causing some kind of trouble. They're the Minions. Just look at them. They're bright yellow, shaped like little squishy capsules, rocking those blue overalls, and they are completely chaotic. But where did they actually come from, and what do they want? Well, let's turn the page and find out.
Chapter 1. The Search for a Boss, from the beginning of time to the 1970s. So, the Minions didn't just show up one day out of nowhere. Their quest has actually been going on since the literal dawn of time. Just imagine these little yellow guys wandering the ancient Earth. And their one and only goal in life? To find and serve the biggest, baddest villains around. We can track them all the way to the 1920s, where they accidentally unleashed a giant monster threat in Hollywood while trying to make a movie. Then, fast forward to 1968, and we've got Kevin, Stuart, and Bob traveling the globe to serve the glamorous supervillains Scarlet Overkill. But it wasn't until the 1970s that they finally found their true master, a little boy with huge dreams of villainy named Gru.
Now, as you follow these guys on their timeline, you'll definitely notice they never stop chattering. They speak this very special language called Minionese. And sure, it might sound like a bunch of silly gibberish, just babbles and squeaks, but it's actually a brilliant mix of English, French, Spanish, Italian, and Indonesian. It was entirely created by the directors themselves. And the best part is, even though we might not know the exact translation of every word, when they shout banana or start giggling uncontrollably, everyone around the world understands exactly how they feel. Chapter 2. Gru's Big Moon Heist, stealing the biggest thing in the sky.
When Gru finally grows up, he becomes a full-time supervillain. And when a younger rival actually steals the Great Pyramid, Gru decides he has to steal the actual moon to prove he's still the best in the business. But to pull off a massive heist like this, he needs a sneaky disguise. So what does he do? He adopts 3 little orphan girls. There's Margot, the fierce and protective oldest sister, Edith, who's always looking for muddy, tomboyish mischief, and little Agnes, who loves fluffy unicorns more than literally anything else. At first, Gru only wanted to use them as pawns for his sneaky plan. But then, they asked him to read bedtime stories, they kissed his pointy nose goodnight, and he ended up completely loving them instead. These girls looked at this grumpy villain, and all they saw was a dad. Chapter 3, From Villain to Super Dad, Growing the Family and Fighting the Bad Guys. It's amazing to look at how much our grumpy villain actually changes here. Think about the old Gru, always dressed in dark clothes, totally obsessed with stealing the moon and pulling off global heists. But then, look at who he becomes. Thanks to the love of his 3 little girls, Gru's heart just grows 3 sizes. He completely leaves his evil ways behind and actually becomes a hero. He gets recruited by the Anti-Villain League to become a secret agent, defending the world from terrible bad guys like the incredibly strong El Macho and that bubblegum-chewing Balthazar brat. He completely traded in his freeze ray for bedtime stories. And as Gru's heart grows, so does his family, because it's not just him and the girls anymore. He meets Lucy Wilds, this amazing secret agent who uses super cool gadgets and martial arts, and they get married. Then, in a totally wild twist, Gru discovers he has a wealthy, long-lost twin brother named Drew. And most recently, in the newest chapters of our storybook, Gru and Lucy welcome a brand new baby boy, Gru Jr. So the Gru household really went from this dark, lonely villain lair to a bright, bustling home, totally full of love. Chapter 4. More mayhem and mini adventures. What the Minions do when Gru isn't looking. Now, you might be wondering, what on earth are the thousands of minions doing while Gru is busy being a super dad? Well, they're basically like wild kids playing around the house. Let's take a quick look at some of their mischief in these mini adventures. In Training Wheels, they try to help little Agnes by building her a crazy high-tech rocket-powered bicycle. In Puppy, one of the minions decides he really wants a pet dog, but he ends up adopting a tiny, flying UFO instead. And in Banana, an entire office gets absolutely destroyed just because 3 minions cannot agree on who gets to eat one single piece of fruit. It is literally non-stop mischief with these guys.
Chapter 5, An Unstoppable Animated Legacy. The real-world success of Gru and the Minions. $6 billion. Parents watching right now, this number is totally for you. Because of how much kids and families genuinely love this story, the Despicable Me and Minions movies have become the highest-grossing animated film franchise in all of cinematic history, over $6 billion at the global box office. It's absolute proof that a magical story about a grumpy villain learning to love can capture the hearts of the entire world. But hey, the fun definitely doesn't stop at the movie theater. Just look at this staggering number, 1.2 billion. That is how many times the Minion Rush mobile game has been downloaded. Fans just cannot get enough of running through Gru's lab, dodging those laser traps, and collecting thousands of floating bananas. The game even just recently received its biggest update ever, which really proves that the Minions are going to be running alongside us for a very, very long time. So why exactly do we love this storybook adventure so much? Well, the creators hit the nail on the head right here. Beneath the over-the-top antics, the franchise explores themes of loyalty, friendship, and an unspoken narrative about the families we choose. That is the real magic of this whole thing. It's not just about freeze rays and funny yellow creatures causing chaos. It's a deeply heartwarming story that teaches kids, and honestly reminds us adults too, that family isn't just about who you're born with. It's about who you choose to love and fiercely defend, no matter how weird or unconventional they might be. And that brings us to the end of our adventure today. But it leaves us with a really wonderful question to think about. Whether you consider yourself a grumpy supervillain, a brilliant secret agent, or maybe even a mischievous little yellow minion, who will you choose to be in your family tribe? Think about the people you love and all the wild adventures you share together. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. Keep smiling, keep looking out for those bananas, and I will see you next time.